well as people who are coming in, viewing the exhibits, and being a part of the Harrison family. I'm very happy to have Dr. Agostino here. He is professor of the African Studies program at Virginia Tech, and it was my luck to find him and to become acquainted with him so that he could be a part of the Spirit That Knows Beauty, which is part of the exhibit we're doing with the Emerson collection. I don't want to get too detailed and bore you with a lot of rhetoric, but I will say that, in the words of Shakespeare, Dr. Agostino, age cannot wither an accustomed stale this infinite variety. And I think you'll be very impressed with what he has to share with you today. I guess I do want to say that he will share some information with you. He also has his bachelor's degree from Calabria. He got his master's degree at Cambridge in England, and also his PhD in Scotland at Edinburgh. So without further ado, I bring to you Dr. Agostino.
Thank you, Francois. Privileged to be among you today. Thank you all for coming out. I usually like to start my presentation by giving thanks to the ancestors who developed the knowledge systems that kept us going to survive incredible odds to be here today. I'm an African American who was born near here. Booker T. Washington was once asked, "What do you think about the one-drug rule?" And he says, "It shows how powerful my side is, because one drug and you're on my side." I welcome you all as people of African descent, because we know today that every human being descended from Africa. So we all have the one-drug rule. So when I give thanks to the ancestors, I want everybody to feel included, that I am thanking all our ancestors who contributed to the survival technologies that made it possible for us to weather the storms of the past. As Francois said, I grew up in Nigeria, where as a child, I would sit for hours watching my mother paint concentric circles on the faces and torso of new mothers before they present their babies to the community. And I would ask her, "What are you doing and why are you doing this?" And she would say, "It is just for beauty." That's her explanation to me. And so when I was doing my research at Edinburgh University for my PhD, I instinctively did not want to think in dual categories, or what is known in computer technology as what computer programmers call, I'll come to that, bifurcation. They call it bifurcation. And I wonder why it should be bifurcation. But our computer or our theorists told me that it probably is because you have the 2 points of negative and positive when you plug into the electricity. So there is a bifurcation there. I said, well, but in England, you have a third point, the neutral, or the earth that goes in, so you got 3 points. Why shouldn't it be a trifurcation rather than a bifurcation? And he told me, well, that is probably because of the difficulty of applying rigid technical terms to social relations, which are more dynamic. But when I started writing my second book my first book was on black women and the criminal justice system. And what I was finding in researching black women and the criminal justice system is that a lot of the women who were arrested, beaten up, or even shot dead in London were not offenders. They were not suspects. They were the mothers, sisters, girlfriends, or daughters of suspected black men. And I couldn't find in criminological theory an explanation for what was being done to those black women. Whereas in criminology, we like to talk about the punishment of offenders. we never had a concept for the punishment of the innocent. And researching the black women told me that there is something else happening here rather than simply the punishment of offenders or the experiences of the victims of crime. That there is a third thing. It's not just a bifurcation, there is at least a trifurcation here. But when I was writing my second book on the relationship between criminology as a discipline and colonialism, I came back up against this issue of bifurcation by looking at young black men and how their masculinity tends to be criminalized. And when I mentioned my research to a colleague, he said, "You're talking about fractals?" I said, "Okay." So he said I should read the book by Ron Eglash. And when I did, it came back to me. Yes, this is what my mom was painting on the body of those women. And I'm lucky to be among you to share with you. I'm not an expert in fractals, and I'm not an expert in art history. So those of you who know these things better than I do, please feel free to share with us during the discussion. What you have here is a painting by an African-American artist and a head mask by East African communities, a painting by Trinidadian master artists, and sand divination in West Africa and across Africa. If you go upstairs and you look at the bed that is on display, you look at the pillars, you find that one of the pillars, or a couple of them, have these patterns on them. These broken lines that appear random, and in West Africa it is used to divine what is going to happen in the future. Maybe when you put your head on that pillow, you'll be dreaming the future. Okay, so here we go. These are the principles or elements of fractals. For those who are not familiar with it, I hope you can read it from there. Okay, there are usually five elements that are covered in fractals. And I added a sixth one, interconnectivity, because it wasn't there. To help us to remember these principles, I tell my students, take the first letter of each of the words and make up a word with 6 letters. So you can remember all the headings and then put them in your own words. Okay? It will take a minute to do that. You can make up your own word. Using the first letters, scramble them, and you make up a word you can remember even in your dreams. And you will always know what fractals are about. The first principle there is recursion, which means that patterns repeat themselves. They repeat, they keep repeating. And this is a tendency you find in social relations. People get married, they have children, the children get married, they have their own children, and on and on. Or somebody makes a new music, somebody else makes another new music, somebody else builds on that, somebody else builds on that, and you have a musical genre, or a genre in poetry, or a genre in drama and film, or in painting, or in sculpture. That is recursion, the principle of recursion. It is common in nature. Recursion occurs in every plant that grows leaves. The leaves recur, similar patterns, or the seeds are planted and they recur by raising a new shoot. Scaling is another principle found in nature, and that means that when you go to the coastline or you look at the clouds, for example, you find that they're not in smooth, straight lines. They're not patterned in grids. They are rather jagged and far from orderly. Same with the foliage of trees in the forest. And this scaling is found also in social relations. Families are at different scales. The extended family, or the family of all the children of God. The community as a family,